Dar errado.
It all went horribly wrong.
Rory be wrong.
Nearly everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. Everything is going wrong for me today. The project failed. I don't know what went wrong.
Went wrong.
I'm afraid that everything will go wrong. Everything about this party has gone wrong. Their marriage started to go wrong when he lost his job. When she didn't come back, we feared that something had gone horribly wrong. It's difficult to say when it all started to go wrong. When anything went wrong with the engines, they called for Murdoch. I was so worried that something had gone wrong that I called the police. We have to figure out what went wrong with the experiment.
Dar uma de João sem braço.
And you? I wish you'd stop playing ignorant. You're not. Stop playing ignorant. You know. It's okay. You may stop playing ignorant now. I played ignorant even though I knew about the surprise party. John played dumb when I asked him if he knew who had been on the telephone. I'm just going to play ignorant the next time I see him. All I had to do is play ignorant and keep my head down. Are you going to play ignorant? Your members assaulted my men. You are ignoring the embedded desire to play ignorant. He played ignorant and didn't offer information. Did Tammy ask you about my date with Steve? Yeah, but I played ignorant about it. What vase? Don't play ignorant with me. You know which one I mean.
Ficar de pé.
They all got to their feet when the president came in. They got to their feet and consulted. Then they disappeared. On a signal from the teacher, the students got to their feet. I was so weak I could hardly get to my feet. Antony rose to his feet and stood gazing intensely at her. Kay McGovern rose to his feet, cheering appreciatively when the performance ended. The entire audience rose to its feet, applauding wildly. We rose to our feet when the bride came down the aisle. You simply leap to your feet and yell. When you fall, leap to your feet and try again. He leapt to his feet and ran outside.
Aquela coisa. Fingamagi.
He used this thingamajig you saw him with the other day to fix the problem. It's one of those thingamajigs for keeping papers together. I need one of those thingamajigs for keeping all the tools together.
Fingamagigas. Aquela coisa.
Give me that thingamajig, please. It's the kind of old school place where you can go when you need a whatchamacallit or a thingamajig.
Fatima College.
The story is an old, beloved superhero chestnut. A space monster needs a thingamajig in order to conquer the world. Maybe you spent hours assembling a crib, only to find out that it was shipped to you with a crucial thingamajig missing. It was a movie about a thingamajig that could read memories straight from the brain. I need a thingamajig to fasten this thingamabob. That thingamajig ended up in the basement because Dad couldn't get it to work.
Cafona.
I know it sounds corny, but it really was love at first sight. You sound like someone out of a corny film.
Corny.
I couldn't watch the whole movie. It was just too corny. When I read again what I wrote over a week ago, it does look a little stupid or corny. And it may sound cheesy or corny, but I really remember the movies that I went to see with my whole family. My sister said the card was corny, but I thought it was sweet. Phil is a goofy guy, pumping you up with smack talk and corny motivational aphorisms. My uncle's jokes are corny, but we laugh anyway. The movie was okay, but the love scene was really corny. Yes, I know, it's super corny, but I like it.
Como eu poderia saber?
I just wanted to give her a surprise. How was I to know you'd already bought tickets?
I was right to know.
But she wasn't a doctor. She was just wearing a doctor's coat. How was I to know? How was I to know that you couldn't sew upholstery and chiffon blouses with the same machine? How was I to know I'd end up moving to Germany years later? How was I to know security would see the fork in my bag as a weapon? How was I to know he was the kingpin of the bloodiest crime dynasty in modern history? I figured plans had changed, but how was I to know? How was I to know which was the right one? How was I to know these things don't work like that? How was I to know? I was 11 years old.
Andar à toa.
We were walking around in the garden. After breakfast, she walked about in the park. He is seen walking about the mall, giving a hug to anyone who wants it. Two children, ages 2 and 3 years old, were found walking around in the parking lot after being left alone at home. It's fun to wander around in a strange town. You can spend the afternoon wandering around the estate. With this system, there is no need to wander about the house in the dark. We just wandered about downtown all morning, looking at the shop windows. Stay where you are and don't roam about. I'm too tired to roam around very much. They're roaming around the country, shooting at anything that moves. Perplexed and hungry, Sudama was roaming about and finally reached a village.
Tomar providências.
Who is making all the arrangements for our sales meeting? I will make arrangements with Fred for the loan. We can make arrangements for a car with the manager. The organizers failed to make the necessary arrangements for dealing with so many people.
Tomar as devidas providências.
Please make the necessary arrangements to avoid this storm. The committee is ready to take action.
Take action, agir.
We're not going to take action just yet. We need to determine the best way to deal with this. We can't just sit here and do nothing. We have to take action. The Spanish authorities took action against the company. She took action against him in relation to the death of her husband. Let it be known that my client will take action against any publication that prints these lies. We need to do something about this problem. Don't just stand there. Do something. Can't you do something about the noise? It's driving me crazy. Government officials know the system isn't working, but they do nothing about it.
Fazer questão.
She made a point of taking a walk each day.
Made a point. Fazia questão.
She makes a point of treating her employees fairly. Made a point of visiting their niece on the way home. I make a point of not discussing various matters on this site. She made a point of thanking everyone in the department for their efforts. He made it a point to attend his children's workouts. In fact, we make it a point to hire experts within the various industries that we serve. I have made it a point to reach out to the masses personally. We have always made a point to sell what we feel are our best animals at the time. I always make a point to stop by that market when strawberries are in season. Make a point to carry your calendar with you at all times. They're making a point of what kind of clothes he wears. Please don't make a point of John's comment. It wasn't that important.
Valer a pena.
It requires a bit of patience to learn, but it's well worth it. If this has the potential to save just one life, it will be totally worth it. It was quite expensive, but still worth it.
Still worth it.
More expensive shirts tend to be worth it in the end because they last longer. It was a difficult trip, but it was worth it. It was hard work, but it was worth it in the end. Advice worth taking. A place worth visiting. The book is definitely worth reading. We believe that our freedom is worth fighting for.
It was worth a try.
I thought it was worth a try to pretend I didn't speak English. I'm not sure this will work, but it's worth a try. Owen's plan was risky, but it was worth a try.
But it was worth a try. Vale a pena tentar. Morrer de vontade.
I'm dying for a cup of coffee. We're dying to meet your new boyfriend. I'm dying to hear your news. I'm dying for something to eat. I'm dying for a cup of tea. She was dying to ask where he'd got it. I'm dying to see what it is. He was dying for a cigarette. She was dying for him to leave. I'm dying for a drink.
Águas passadas.
All that is now just water under the bridge. Yes, we did have our disagreements, but that's water under the bridge. By the time she's walking again, it'll all be water under the bridge. I thought that was water under the bridge, he said. Don't worry, it's all just water under the bridge. They agreed that their old disputes were water under the bridge. It is just water under the bridge now, I suppose. I don't want to talk about that. It's all water under the bridge now. After that, it was all water under the bridge, and they were friends again. We had our differences in the past, but that's all water under the bridge now.
Tudo ou nada?
She either loves you or hates you. It's all or nothing with her. I can't bargain over trifles. I will have to have all or nothing. Tom has an all or nothing approach to relationships. He's an all or nothing perfectionist. An all or nothing decision. Those were his words. An all or nothing policy. The army will either make or break him.
Fazer sucesso ou fracassar.
It's a tough assignment, and it will either make or break her. They have the ability to make or break a new star. A make or break decision for the manager. A make or break marketing policy. These next few weeks will be make or break for many businesses.
Crunch time. É hora do tudo ou nada.
It's crunch time for high-tech companies. The team had trained well, but at crunch time, they just couldn't perform. With only 3 minutes left in the game, it was definitely crunch time. Okay, we've got 2 minutes to tie the game. It's crunch time, guys. It's crunch time. We only have 2 more days to finish.
A princípio,
At first, Hugo tried to be patient. At first the berries were green, but when they ripened, they turned bright red. At first I thought he was joking, but then I realized he meant it. You didn't want to join us at first. All right, this might look hard at first, even if it seems uncomfortable at first. You know, at first, they denied anything even happened. I mean, at first I wasn't sure. Now, at first, I didn't realize who you were. And at first I thought I'd fooled him.
Dar mancada.
He'll punish you the moment you slip up.
Slip up. Da mancada.
Sooner or later, he'll slip up. Not to mention what happens to him if you slip up. But I hope I don't slip up this time. I knew you'd slip up, Shepherd. I won't slip up. If you slip up in copying the data, the final result will, of course, be wrong. That slip-up cost a lot of money. One slip-up could mean his life. Well, it was a slip-up, and it will not happen again.
Conversa fiada.
She's full of hot air. His taking credit for the rescue was mostly hot air. His promises turned out to be a lot of hot air. That's just a lot of hot air. Ignore it. His justification for the merger was just hot air.
Joré. Conversa fiada.
They dismissed the theory as a load of hot air.
Bullshit. Conversa fiada.
Bullshit. He never said that. He gave me some excuse, but it was a bunch of bullshit. That's total bullshit. You never said that. What he told me was a load of bullshit. Don't bullshit me. Tell me the truth. Don't give me that bullshit. Stop bullshitting and tell me the truth.
Armar barraco. Make a scene.
I asked her to be quiet and not make a scene. When John found a fly in his drink, he started to create a scene. Oh, John, please don't make a scene. Just forget about it. Joan made a scene when the restaurant lost her dinner reservation. He didn't want me to make a scene.
Raise a stink. Armar barraco.
My problem is, if I raise a stink, they might retaliate. We'll go public. Raise a stink. Parents should really raise a stink about violence on children's TV shows. And if that didn't work, she was going to go to the board and raise a stink. He likes to create a stink.
Create a stink. Armar barraco.
She created a stink about the lack of recycling facilities in the town.
Lutar com unhas e dentes.
We fought tooth and nail but lost. We fought tooth and nail to keep our share of the business. They vowed to fight the new legislation tooth and nail. I'm going to fight tooth and nail for that promotion. When the oil industry appeared, they fought it tooth and nail. She said, "We have fought tooth and nail for a new pool. I'll fight tooth and nail to win the finals." Everyone fought tooth and nail to keep the families here. Members of Congress have been fighting tooth and nail over this issue. For a century, the two families fought tooth and nail over control of the land.
Botar a boca no trombone.
You want me to blow the whistle?
Blow the whistle.
The gangs were getting very bad. It was definitely time to blow the whistle. I was afraid I would lose my job if I blew the whistle on it. In some jurisdictions, it is illegal to fire a person for blowing the whistle on an employer. Which brave journalist blew the whistle on the scam? An attorney who blew the whistle on governmental corruption. You know, I could blow the whistle on you anytime I want. A former employee blew the whistle on corrupt practices within the company. The citizens group blew the whistle on the street gangs by calling the police. She was fired for blowing the whistle on the bank's mismanagement of accounts.
Perder as estribeiras.
You have to be very careful because he flies off the handle very easily.
Flies off the handle. Perder as estribeiras.
Every time anyone mentions taxes, Mrs. Brown flies off the handle. If she keeps flying off the handle like that, she'll have a heart attack. He really flew off the handle when I suggested selling the house. Flew off the handle when the train was finally canceled. He flies off the handle every time the mail is late. I can't imagine why he flew off the handle like that. I took a deep breath and tried not to fly off the handle. But touch on anything emotional, and Andrew flies off the handle. This issue is personal for me. That's why I'm flying off the handle.
Fora de perigo.
I want you out of danger until this is over. Yes, Mr. Simons is out of danger. The baby's out of danger. They want you to keep my sister out of danger. But I will caution you, we are not out of the woods yet.
Out of the woods. Fora de perigo.
As soon as her temperature is down, she'll be out of the woods. We're not out of the woods yet. By tomorrow, he'll be out of the woods.
Out of harm's way.
I wanted to keep you out of harm's way.
Fora de perigo.
I'm just praying he stays out of harm's way. We fenced the yard to keep the children out of harm's way. We want to get as many people out of harm's way as we possibly can.
Fora de perigo. Mudar de ideia.
He wasn't going to come, but at the last minute he changed his mind. I can always change my mind about going on this trip. He turned to go, and then seemed to change his mind. She started up the stairs, changed her mind, and turned to go back down. At first, I thought she was unfriendly, but I've changed my mind. Tom thought Mary was unkind, but an evening out with her changed his mind. I can change my mind if you convince me that you are right. If you don't buy the painting now, he may change his mind and refuse to sell it. After the interview, I completely changed my mind about her abilities. Travis was about to say something, then changed his mind. I've changed my mind about Steve.
Crise econômica.
We're having a huge financial crisis right now. Tonight, I wanted to talk about the global financial crisis. The financial crisis that Nostradamus foresaw is also a global concern. We're now in big economic crisis. No, I would be blamed for the economic crisis. The struggle to save our country from the social and economic crisis. Regardless of the economic downturn, inflation should be around 3.2%.
Economic downturn.
This risk strongly increases in periods of economic downturn. With the global economic downturn, more families are finding it difficult to put food on the table.
Economic meltdown.
We must learn from every economic meltdown. We're in the middle of an economic meltdown. During an economic meltdown, many people will be unemployed or underemployed.
Hoje em dia,
Nowadays, many people condemn hunting. Nowadays, it's acceptable for women to be ambitious. Few people do their laundry by hand nowadays. I don't see much of Tony nowadays. People don't wear hats much nowadays. Who remembers those movies nowadays? Nowadays, I bake my own bread rather than buy it. Most of our custom comes from tourists nowadays. Accidents due to failure of safety equipment are uncommon nowadays. In any case, it's so much easier for customers to change accounts nowadays.
a não ser que
Nothing will come of it, unless disaster. I'll be there at 9, unless the train is late. I can't help you unless you tell me what's wrong. She won't go unless you go. We were never anything but poor.
but poor, senão pobre, a não ser pobre.
She does nothing but complain all day long.
Ela não faz nada a não ser reclamar o dia inteiro.
She does nothing but complain all day long. I refuse to discuss my medical history with anyone but Dr. Grant.
A não ser Dr. Grant.
There's been nothing but trouble since he came.
Não tem havido nada a não ser problemas desde que ele chegou.
There's been nothing but trouble since he came. I don't know much about the man, except that he's an idiot. He did nothing all day except sit around and watch television. Airline officials had nothing to tell us, except that the flight had been delayed. Not a sound was heard except the wind howling.
Pela primeira vez.
I rode a horse for the first time today. For the first time in my adult life, I didn't have a roommate. And for the first time in so long, I had something to lose. Just made my own sandwich for the first time. For the first time, I have hope. For the first time in my career, I was failing. We have the day to ourselves for the first time in months. For the first time in a long while, I see a possibility of friendship. Hamlet was performed for the first time on the 4th of February, 1921 in Berlin. And for the first time in a long time, I could imagine a future where I was happy.
Levar susto.
We had a scare like this before. Oh, sweetie, I know you had a scare last night. We all had a scare today. We'll have others before we're done. You gave me a scare. You gave me a scare. What are you doing down here? 'Cause that call last night gave me a scare. He gets a fright seeing that. You boys sure gave me a fright. It's all right. He just gave me a fright. The children got scared and ran away. He does not get scared and hide. But I was sitting next to Alan Cumming, and I got scared.
Estar com pressa.
You must be in a hurry to die. No one seemed in a hurry for the results. The rain was falling, but we were not in a hurry to leave. He paused, and he seemed like he was in a hurry, so he rushed out. It was rapidly darkening outside, and she was in a hurry to be leaving. I'm kind of in a rush here. Yeah? Let me get my cash. You're always in a rush. What about my watch? Are we in a rush? I was in a rush, so I borrowed this dart. Everybody's in a rush to the afterlife.
Pelo amor de Deus.
For God's sake, Eleanor, what happened to your hair? It's time we started worrying about educating our children, for God's sake. At 3:30 in the morning, for God's sake, my dog decided to have her puppies. For Christ's sake, Julie, what are you doing here? This dress makes me look like a little old lady, for Christ's sake. It's too... This dress makes me look like a little old lady, for Christ's sake. It's 2 in the morning, for Christ's sake. Why are you calling me now? For the love of God, get me out of here. For the love of God, quiet down. I'm trying to get some sleep here. As for the rest of you, For the love of God, please stop.
Crying out loud.
For crying out loud, can't you do anything right?
Pelo amor de Deus.
Why do you have to take everything so personally, for crying out loud? Oh, for crying out loud. Would you stop leaving your magazines all over the house? No, I haven't bought her a present yet. Her birthday is a month away, for crying out loud.
Fazer acordo.
I want to buy your car, and I think I can make a deal with you. I will make a deal with you that you will like. I'm here to make a deal. You want to make a deal with the people who are threatening to gut us? You can't make a deal with them. I have decided to make a deal with Keenan Feldspar. But if you want to make a deal, I have an idea. Then we'll see if we can make a deal. Okay, appreciate it. If you're interested, we can make a deal.
Estar de luto.
Now this child is dead, and this woman is in mourning.
In mourning. De luto.
I can't listen to this. I'm in mourning. Madame Audel is in mourning for her husband.
De mourning.
Zoila, I'm still in mourning. If I wasn't in mourning, I might even find that funny. Human rights groups declared what they called a day of mourning and protest. The official period of mourning is over now. Soon after Abu Ain died, the Palestinian Authority announced 3 days of mourning. She is still mourning her husband, who died last year. She mourned the loss of her youth. Thousands of people mourned his death.
Fazer sucesso.
She made a hit with my family. He made a hit with Lady Sopwith. She sends her best wishes. You've obviously made a hit there. You made a big hit with their daughter. It looks like you've made a hit with him. She's smart. She will succeed. This peace accord needs to succeed at any cost. However, the government has never succeeded in achieving this. The management and business skills you need to succeed. Every idiot thinks they're going to be successful. You worry that you're not doing enough to help them be successful. It's just that thing inside of me that says, you have to be successful. You have no choice.
Tocar no assunto.
In tomorrow's lecture, I'd like to touch on the matter of taxation.
Tochon. Tocar no.
The teacher only touched on the subject. There wasn't time to do more than that. He did not touch on the issue of immigration. The reports touched on many important points. She touches upon the issue in the article, but never fully explains it. He touches upon several themes from the last chapter. He packs in a great deal of information and touches on many subjects. This is a beautifully written book, touching on a subject that touches us all one day. We talked for 45 minutes, briefly touching on the subject of last Saturday night. The talk was about educational opportunities for adults, and the speaker also touched upon sources of finance.
Aí sim,
Would you like pizza for dinner? Now you're talking.
aí sim. Now you're talking.
You've decided to enter the contest? Now you're talking. Okay, I'll give you $900. Now you're talking. I won't put up with her behavior any longer. I'll tell her exactly what I think of it. Now you're talking. When I get back to school, I'm going to study harder than ever. Now you're talking. Or we could go out for dinner if you prefer. Now you're talking. Feel like going out for a beer? Now you're talking. Fancy an ice cream? Now you're talking. You don't want hamburgers. Well, how about steak? Yeah, now you're talking. The Beatles? Now you're talking.
Morrendo de medo.
You know, Drew is scared to death of spiders.
Scared to death.
I am scared to death of you going to prison. We're scared to death. You were scared to death in here? People are running around this neighborhood just scared to death, and you're sorry? I'm deathly scared of flying again. She was deathly scared he would kill her. Why Facebook needs to be deathly scared of Pinterest. I was deathly scared, but would not let Calvin know. Vampires are deathly scared of sunlight.
Estar de prova.
I'll vouch for the quality of the report. I read it last night.
I vote for. Eu vou atestar pela.
My wife can vouch for that.
Minha esposa está de prova disso.
My wife can vouch for that. Why don't you phone my office? They'll vouch for me. I cannot vouch for the accuracy of the story. I've known him for years and can vouch for his honesty. Kim's mother agreed to vouch for Maria and get her a job. I can vouch for Tom. Irene will vouch for my honesty. An accountant must vouch for the accuracy of any financial report.
Responder pelo. Atestar pela.
The candidate's strong record vouches for her ability. We can vouch for the software. Everyone here uses it.
Pegar de surpresa.
Oh, you took me by surprise because I didn't hear you come in. She bolted into the room and took them by surprise. I took the little bird by surprise, and it flew away. His resignation took us all completely by surprise. The rain shower took us by surprise. That car coming around the corner caught me by surprise. Don't let hidden bank fees catch you by surprise. She was caught completely by surprise with the amount of donations she received. Bill caught his mother by surprise by coming to the door and pretending to be selling something.
Vai entender.
It's a terrible movie and it made $200 million. Go figure. The paint was really good, so they stopped making it. Go figure, right?
Go figure. Vai entender.
After losing their first 6 games, they won the next 10. Go figure. Linda didn't like me. Go figure. And he doesn't have a girlfriend. Go figure. You don't look happy to see me. Yeah, go figure. Yeah, he likes to pretend he's sleeping. Go figure. The car wouldn't start yesterday no matter what I did, but today it works just fine. Go figure. She says she wants to have a conversation, but when I try, she does all the talking. Go figure. The government said it would promote free trade by increasing tariffs on imported goods. Go figure.
Falar na cara.
I told him the truth to his face. If you've got something to say it to my face.
Diga na minha cara.
If you had anything to say, you said it to their face. I'd never say it to her face, but her hair looks terrible. If Terry has anything to say, he should say it to my face. I knew they wanted me to leave, even though they wouldn't say it to my face. Never write anything in an email that you wouldn't say to the person's face. I told him straight to his face that I thought he was wrong. She knew I thought she was rude because I said it right to her face. If I have anything to say about your mother, I'm not afraid to say it right to her face. I'll tell you something right to your face.
Eu te avisei.
You were right after all. See, I told you so.
I told you so.
I told you it wouldn't work. See, it broke. I told you so. Jesus, say it already. Tell me I told you so. Now, at this point, a jerk might say, I told you so. Logan, I'm running out of ways of saying I told you so. I hate to say it, but I told you so.
Eu odeio dizer, mas eu te avisei.
I hate to say it, but I told you so. I really hate to say it, but I told you so. So, shut your mouth before I shoot you down, old boy. Hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. I warned you not to go to that party last night. I warned you, and yet my punishment is no less severe.
I warned ya. Eu te avisei.
I warned her what would happen if she went up against Percy.
Pisar em ovos.
Yeah, but you don't have to walk on eggshells around me. Of course, as a guy, I'm walking on eggshells simply discussing this. Since he stumbled and fell against the china cabinet, Bill has been walking on eggshells. I was walking on eggshells trying to explain the remark to her. Everyone at the company was walking on eggshells. We're all walking on eggshells around her since her dog died. When my mother is staying at our house, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Bud, you don't have to walk on eggshells with me. But all we can do is walk on eggshells. The guy's walking on eggshells every minute of the day.
Tomar cuidado.
There's some ice there. Be careful. Careful, Peter, you'll fall. Be careful when you go out in the city at night. Be careful with that box. Don't bang around my glassware. Be careful. Stay with the tour guide. I'm going to the beach tomorrow. Be careful. Use lots of sunscreen. See you around, Fred. Be careful. Well, I'm off. Bye, Alice. Be careful. Take care if you're planning to go out tonight. He urged people to take care on bonfire night. Officials warned drivers to take care. Take care or you will slip on the ice. I have to go now. Take care.
Quem me dera.
If only they had listened to Michael Kelly.
If only, quem dera.
If only this applied to all airlines, all flights, and all problems. If only we could slow things down.
Quem dera nós pudéssemos desacelerar as coisas.
If only we could slow things down. If only I could live to see Spain at peace.
Quem dera pudesse viver para ver a Espanha em paz.
If only I could live to see Spain at peace. Do you think I'll get an A in this class? I wish.
I wish, quem dera.
You'll have finished by tomorrow. I wish.
I wish, quem dera.
I hear you're a good dancer. Ha! I wish. I wish you weren't even my brother.
Quem dera você não fosse nem meu irmão.
I wish you weren't even my brother. I wish you could stay longer.
Quem dera você pudesse ficar por mais tempo.
I wish we really could choose our own families.
Quem dera nós pudéssemos realmente escolher nossas próprias famílias.
I wish we really could choose our own families. Zira, my dear, I wish you would not talk like that.
Abandonar o barco.
He jumped ship in Cape Town.
Jumped ship.
They all jumped ship as soon as other jobs opened up. Half of them would probably jump ship if something became available elsewhere. The original star of the TV series jumped ship after the first season. Another advertising agency offered him $1,000 to jump ship. After the founder left, a lot of the employees jumped ship. I decided to jump ship and start looking for another job. We should give the order and jump ship. It's like he's the Titanic, and I gotta jump ship before I go down with him. Seaman Granado couldn't have picked a worse time to jump ship.
Dar uma mãozinha.
Scott, could you give me a hand? She tries to give a hand to those in need of help. Could you give me a hand with these boxes, Mike? Let me know when you're moving, and I'll give you a hand. Let me give you a hand with those chairs. The policeman lent a hand in getting the stretcher up the steps. He more than lends a hand with the kids, for example. I'm just a guy who can lend a hand if you'll let me. Jane is always willing to lend a hand with refreshments. But you've got to help me out. How come you don't help me out around here? Because you don't want me to. And I would do anything to help out my future mother-in-law. If I could help out and give the lecture to the Korean ladies.
Estar de mãos atadas.
I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. My hands are tied. I'd like to help you, but my hands are tied. The judge says her hands are tied. I can't help you. I was told not to, so I have my hands tied. I'd like to raise people's salaries, but my hands are tied. My hands are tied. I wouldn't go in there if I were you. As I've said before, Dr. Stone, my hands are tied. Make sure her hands are tied. John can't help. He has his hands tied by his boss. The new rules have tied his hands.
Jogar para escanteio.
Shouldn't Kim have kicked Steve to the curb?
Have kicked Steve to the curb. Não deveria Kim ter jogado Steve para escanteio?
Your boyfriend's a dog. Kick him to the curb.
Kick him to the curb. Jogue para escanteio.
So, pardon me while I kick your offer to the curb. You kicked Manticore to the curb for good. It's better than kicking people to the curb. Who's kicking people to the curb? Look, people want independence. Sue knew she had to do the right thing and kick Edwin to the curb. We're going to get our money and kick the little brat to the curb. Max, don't say dumped. Say kick to the curb. She's trash, Andre, and your daddy is going to kick her to the curb. Does this mean you're going to kick me to the curb because I know too much? Many years ago, when my wife and I were just dating, she kicked me to the curb.
Molhar a mão de alguém.
I'd never oil a police officer's palm. That's illegal. We shouldn't have to grease palms. I just wanted things to be perfect.
Greasing the palm.
Drug barons were greasing the palm of the chief of police. It was necessary to grease the superintendent's palm. They had to grease the palms of a few inspectors at City Hall. We need to get out there and grease palms, blackmail people. He's visiting all the nobles throughout England to grease their palms. Grease some palms, offer free drinks, do what sleazy bartenders do all over America. Some of those candidates spent money greasing the palms of local political bosses. If you want to get something done around here, you have to grease someone's palm.
cuidar da própria vida.
Where have you been? Mind your own business. She told me to mind my own business. This is none of your affair. Mind your own business.
Isso não é assunto seu, cuida da sua vida.
If she asks where we're going, tell her to mind her own business. Who were you with last night? Mind your own business. There I was, minding my own business, when this man started yelling at me. She can't keep her nose out of other people's business. Good grief, Bob. Keep your nose out of my business. How much did it cost? Tom, get your nose out of my business. I wish he'd keep his nose out of my business. I know what I'm doing. Just keep your nose out of it.
Just keep a nose out of it. Só mantenha-se fora disso.
I know what I'm doing. Just keep your nose out of it.
Só minuto.
Wait just a second. Disengage your magnetic boots, everyone. Hey, just a second, Derek. I'm going to ask you guys to hold on just a second. Yeah, just a second, honey. Okay, just a minute, sweetheart. Which way does the water go in your toilet? Just a minute, I'll check. You want to see how it looks? Now wait just a minute, honey. That will never work. Oh, now wait just a minute. Look, just tell me exactly what happened. Just a moment. Dad, can I have permission to say hell yeah? Just a moment. Just a moment, Mr. Gerke. First time here? Just a moment. Excuse me just a moment.
Pavio curto.
Her short temper could only be controlled by one of us. Except for your short temper, you are my best officer. She has a really short temper and is a hopeless romantic. No wonder Drake had such a short temper when it came to Alan. Kevin has a wicked sense of humor and a short temper. And I already know you're a beautiful girl with a short temper. A short-tempered businessman. She is so short-tempered that people avoid her company. I wish to apologize for being so short-tempered this morning, he began. God, some people are short-tempered, aren't they? Yeah. Well, I guess we're all short-tempered today. I'm sorry if I'm a little short-tempered with you sometimes.
Estar de acordo.
The boss and I do not always see eye to eye.
See eye to eye. Está de acordo.
I'm glad we see eye to eye about Todd with Mary. I see eye to eye with Mary. My father and I see eye to eye on most things. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. Things didn't happen quite in accord with expectations. All persons deserve respect in accord with their human dignity. His ideas and mine were completely in accord. The format was prepared in accord with recommendations set forth by Dillman. Bad working conditions that are not in accord with international standards.
Dormir no ponto.
Why was our government asleep at the wheel when the crisis began?
Asleep at the wheel.
Why was our government asleep at the wheel when the crisis began? It looks like he fell asleep at the wheel. We would have won that match if he hadn't fallen asleep at the wheel. They don't know a thing. They're asleep at the wheel.
Sleep at the wheel.
Let's hope the regulators are not asleep at the wheel. As for extras, someone was asleep at the wheel on this disc. Someone must have been asleep at the switch to allow this.
Sleep at the switch. Dormir no ponto.
Nor were our political leaders the only ones asleep at the switch. Several publishers were asleep at the switch and missed the book's potential.
Se não me engano,
I think he wanted to marry her, if I am not mistaken. You never asked me for my name, if I am not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, there's an adolescent version as well. And if I am not mistaken, you are undermining my authority. If I am not mistaken, this seems to be your favorite alien, Ben Tennyson. Unless I'm mistaken, he didn't specify what time. Unless I'm very much mistaken, Joyce will be the next director. Unless I'm mistaken, this is Richard Cipher. Unless I'm mistaken, you gave $50 to the mafia last month. Well, unless I'm mistaken, your lawyer was murdered here last night.
procurar chifre em cabeça de cavalo. Nitpick. Nitpick.
Let's not nitpick.
Let's not nitpick. Não vamos procurar chifre em cabeça de cavalo.
Let's not nitpick. There's no time to nitpick.
Nitpick.
Her husband nitpicks about everything. I mean, I'm not going to nitpick or anything. He doesn't nitpick like some people I know. People who nitpick are bothered by minor problems. Everybody is trying to nitpick everything all the time.
Nitpick.
If you're going to nitpick, I ain't going to talk to you at all. Am I just going to nitpick everyone until they leave me? Someone will invariably nitpick about any spelling error posted to the forums. I looked hard for items to nitpick about and couldn't find any. Altogether, a great car.
Ficar com a pulga atrás da orelha.
The minute I came in, I smelled a rat. Anyway, I smell a rat. This chick is calling 10 times a day? Keep everything normal. I don't want her to smell a rat. Neil smelled a rat and decided it was best not to proceed. When I saw the look they gave each other, I smelled a rat. After noting several discrepancies in his client's story, the attorney began to smell a rat. When I didn't hear any more from my prospective employer, I began to smell a rat. He smells a rat when something appears too good to be true. When I got an email asking for my password, I should have smelled a rat. I don't think this was an accident. I smell a rat. Bob had something to do with this.
Eu não acho que isso foi um acidente. Eu estou com a pulga atrás da orelha. Bob teve algo a ver com isso.
I don't think this was an accident. I smell a rat. Bob had something to do with this.